think we're done, having our alerts on our phones now, so we can probably jump into this. So, hey, extremely happy to be here. I'm a big believer in infrastructure as code. Rob Strechay. I lead the Cube research, which is part of the Cube and SiliconANGLE. If you want to find me later this week, I'm going to be sitting on stage for the next 36 hours straight or something. We're actually longer than that, probably 72 hours straight down on the floor, doing interviews of people across the industry. I'm excited to be here. I'm a recovering geek in the fact that I was at AWS. I built a service there. I've been on the product side at a number of different companies, but I'm not the expert in, infrastructure as code. And that's why we have these folks here to really share what it's like that they're going through, some of the battles that they've seen recently around AI and security and how all of this is coming together. And with that, I'm going to introduce them. And first is Parker Cameron, who's the Senior Manager of Cloud Engineering at Discover Education. Welcome, Parker.
Thank you. Hey.
Then we have Ned Bellavance, who is an independent consultant and technical educator. Welcome, Ned. Hi. And lastly, but not leastly, we have Luke Phillips, who's platform engineering expert and former staff engineer at the New York Times. Welcome on board, Luke. So let's kick it off with Ned here. I think, no, fair enough. Well, I mean, again, you're used to talking into a microphone. So
I don't know what you were talking about.
I know. All right, fair. So you spend a lot of time training teams, and there must be a lot of different things that you're seeing, especially as AI is starting to creep into all of what everybody is doing. What are some of the things that you've seen and some of the advice you could give?
Yeah, I mean, the number one question I get is, okay, so what AI are you using in your editor? And the answer is I'm using Claude Sonnet 4.5, so you can go use that, and that's fine. But the larger question is, can I trust AI to write my code? And the answer is sort of. So there still needs to be a human in the loop when it comes to writing your infrastructure as code. You can't just hand it off to AI, hope for the best. One of the biggest improvements I've seen is the launch of MCP. So now there are MCP servers available for most of the major clouds, and as well as the infrastructure as code tools you might use. So leverage those if you are developing using AI, and tell the AI, please go use this server to spot check yourself. And then you still have to spot check it because ultimately you're the one responsible for what gets deployed and how well it's deployed. So that's one side of it. The other side that I've seen is analysis of infrastructure that's already been deployed. And there are a number of tools that are coming out, and people are making some homegrown solutions that will roll through your cloud real estate and kind of determine what you have deployed today and maybe help you find some gaps. That is extremely useful, but it's definitely in its infancy, so I would proceed with caution.
I think proceeding with caution is always a good idea when it comes to AI right now, but it's garbage in, garbage out. You don't know where it was trained or how it was trained, and again, it doesn't understand how you do your things or put your guardrails in, definitely.
That's a really good point. So the other big thing is that you should develop context for it to ingest around your organizational standards and also just generally best practices. And what I've done is created long-winded prompt documents that include, here are best practices, here's how I want you to lay out the files, here's how I want you to name variables, and add that as context to any prompt for generating infrastructure. You're going to have a much better time than having to try to go and retcon itself afterwards.
Yeah. So, Luke, that made you smile. So, why don't you give us some, tales from the trenches?
One of the files was like a lot of documentation you're putting into your prompt, you're training the AI, and the documentation is great. And maybe I did that to my junior engineer in IT STEM. My junior engineer, he's better. And we'll be able to produce more AI. I still have to explain it over things like Atlanta. It's like, this is really great work to train our peers and our colleagues, things like that. And very much into our guidance words. And there's so much of it, and all probably just this phrase over and over again. But I see it as like human assist, not human replace.
I think that's key. Human in the loop as well. I think I actually hate the word agent. I think the word agent, it's more like the buddy. Like it's my AI buddy or something like that. Parker, what about you?
Yeah, no, I really loved what you said, Luke, as far as like you write all this documentation and the ability to kind of augment your team and your experience in a way very carefully. Uh, but taking that even further, one of the things I've really enjoyed using AI for in platform engineering is generating documentation. Because you have both the hands-on experience with using the agent itself, or buddy, pardon. But also, like, you can have it do the thing we don't really like to do. What is so crucial. So that's where I spend a lot of my time these days.
So let's stick with you for a second here, and we'll come to you next, Luke. But really, when you look at this, like repeatability is a big thing, right? Especially with AI, and everybody's fear is that it hallucinates or goes off on a tangent or something that's like me. So how do you look at it from a reliability and a security perspective?
Yeah, I mean it's an evolving discussion, really. I feel like how we've kind of implemented how I felt most comfortable working with it has been just incrementally finding areas where it's most valuable, and making sure that you're not rolling the dice with access or kind of control, but kind of learning what the cause and effect sort of chain is, and just going slow. There's a lot of desire to just say AI is the magic bullet, any problem it can solve. There's a lot of hallucination in that, and so going slow.
Great. So, Luke, again, reliability, security, things that people really need from a repeatability perspective. What's some advice you have for people about AI?
With AI, somehow, somebody that I'm say, some of the craziest drugs that where, to read in my database, it's like, why do they have that much access to begin with? Like, all of our access controls are proxies. There's so much around all the policy that you have constructed that you still have in your systems, all your access controls. So many of the platforms that I've architected before where we do strict multi-tenancy, you really can't go across almost any barrier, network or namespaces, things like that. None of that goes away with AI. And so it's like a real challenge where people are like, I'll just throw the AI agent at it. Or it's like, I think Neil was giving the example of like, oh, just, scanning through a system. Like, you can't do that in my platform or any platforms I would build. And so those are the guardrails, like the existing guardrails you put for humans. Like, I don't want to have root access to anything. I shouldn't have root access to anything like that. That should be managed through tools and audits and things like that. And that, the same rules are going to apply to an AI tool or something like that as well.
So we'll go back, but to the group, to everybody here. Any fun stories that either you personally or you quote unquote heard about where security may have gone awry with this and with AI coming in and what it's doing and things of that nature. Anybody? If not, we can move on. Looks like no. Nobody ever did that. So yeah, we'll do the inverse of that. So Ned, kind of help people understand. You're out there educating a lot of people. You're helping them understand how these tools are working. What does it look like when it's done right? What are some of the things and some of the advice that you would give that using AI in the right ways as they go along?
So now we begin hour 1 of our 6-hour episode on how to do Terraform right. Now, so I think using AI correctly with IaC is not really that much different than writing your own IaC correctly. And it's about building up reusable modules for your team and for the larger group, following best practices around crafting variables and outputs, and being aware of the secrets that get stored in your state and how to get them out. So none of that goes away if you're adopting AI. And in some cases, it can exacerbate the problem. because an AI doesn't have the knowledge of how to write a good module. It doesn't really care that you just wrote all your key vault secrets to state, because that's fine. Um, so, but you do want to keep an eye on what it's doing and provide necessary context, just like you would with like a buddy, with like a junior admin who doesn't know any better. And you're like, oh, sweetie, no, don't. You don't need to do that. We were having a conversation earlier about module design, and I had some strong opinions, and those strong opinions still hold if you're using AI to develop your platform modules for others to consume. I think, to go off on a little tangent here, and you're going to let me because I have the mic. If I'm developing modules for internal consumption by the rest of the platform team, I can make them as complex as I want. That is fine. Go for it. You want it to be reusable and useful. Once I start pushing those modules out for people, my consumers to use, now I need to dumb it down, because I don't need them to learn 600 variable inputs. I need them to give me small, medium, and large, and production or development or staging or whatever. And then I'm going to make assumptions for them that employ some secure defaults and don't allow them to shoot themselves in the foot. So please, if you're building your modules for others to consume outside of your group, provide abstractions, make them easy, because otherwise they're not going to use them. They're just going to go and end run around them. So I'll get off my soapbox now and give you the microphone back.
So I'll ask kind of the same question to you two as well. And any advice that you have to folks as they're going down this, because I think, again, this is where, IaCConf and really the connect part of it comes in, is like learning from each other as we're here. And by the way, as a side note, think of questions, because there will be a Q&A section that you can actually ask your questions with the powerful mic stand that we have.
Well, and I will ask you to re-ask your question because I got sidetracked on the.
Yeah, sorry about my digression. So I would say, what are some of the things that you look at when you're, as you're going down the AI path, about, things that should be done right, that you're looking at and you're telling your teams to, watch out for this, use it for this, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I'm the person to give an answer on that, and I don't mean just in the context of this panel, but I want the engineers on my team to tell me what they can use it for. I mean, personally, I view AI as a really great tool to kind of continue the automation trend. You're really just kind of making it a little bit easier, a little bit faster to build out tools that you may have built already, but you can accelerate that. And yeah, that's really how I look at it. Is I want to be told how it can be used. I want to figure that out.
I am also one of those that I'm sometimes wondering how I ended up here at this seat. My background is application developer, so I'm way more at the application. I've worked my way towards the infrastructure kind of thing, and so I'm kind of, even for me, Terraform, things like that is a challenge, and one of those things where it's like, oh, explain this, help me debug this, help me understand this. Like AI is great to like assist me walk through those kind of things, and I think talking to like I spent a lot of time building out platforms. Now platforms being such a broad term, it can be anything really, but speaking of how is that the same experience I'm trying to present in a platform to my customers and to my users, where it's really trying to be user focused, and such the same way that I want to present. I don't really ever want to give anyone like, here's some Terraform, good luck kind of thing. It's like, rather, here's an abstraction, here's the platforms and things, and here's instead of a backstage front end, now it's going to be a AI front end. You're going to have a conversational user experience. You're not going to have like a GUI to go through. You're kind of changing perhaps those types of UI UX experiences I see like AI success on.
I'll take it back, but then I'm going to ask you a question. So you've been going through the interviewing process over the last few months or so. How has AI impacted that process? And I'm going to leave it vague so you can hit both, as you were going through the process and as you were seeing things happen and what people were looking for as well?
So this will be hour 2 of our conversation. And this really, we should gather around a little closer. This is really more like a therapy session now of like, it's been a wild adventure it's almost been 5 months. So the good news is I do get to announce a new role next Monday. But it's been almost, hey, thank you. Thank you. It's been about 6 months. I'll throw out some statistics for you all as well. I think like U.S. national labor average for unemployment is 6 months average time. So I hit about that average. I've been through a lot of wild interviews. I'm kind of surprised I haven't never had to sign an NDA through any of these. The amount of insides of various companies that I've seen and their use or not use of AI has been fascinating. But stepping back to like some of the process where it's been kind of going back to that AI human assist, not AI human replacement kind of thing. People see that in your resumes, they see that in your applications, things like that. So like I would talk to I might use an AI to say, here's what I've written up for my resume, review it, give me some feedback. Okay, but I'm going to go edit my resume. I'm going to go adjust it. And I've gotten the comment from managers I've interviewed with, like, "Oh, we saw your resume because it was obvious a human wrote it." Like all, the style of my language and things like that. Wasn't just that the resume was not built for that position kind of thing. And so those kind of little things where it's like, can they still tell you're a human in the process? And then also it's been fascinating and it kind of sucks as well. Like on the other side where it's like, I could tell in the interview it's an AI on the other side. Those, don't go well either. So yeah, it's a lot of that experience. Certainly there's no sugarcoating the market out there. I think what I've heard from hiring managers and other friends that have jobs, as managers where they're hiring, they'll post a job within a day. There's 1,000 applications. Um, and so it's really emphasizing like this event right now, the people around you, like I would really highly recommend you turn to the person to your left and to your right, introduce each other. Actually, I'll give you a moment right now. If you've not met the person sitting next to you, shake their hands right now and do that because these are the people that will get you your next job when you need it. Yeah, yeah. Get out the LinkedIn real quick. Make sure you're checking that. Get those connections. Um, s-
You are making friends right now.
right, right. So I'll get the finder fees for these kind of references and everything like that. I'll get the references for that.
Is your new position running a recruiting business?
I mean, I have a lot of experience now, but it's yeah. And so yeah, it's really like so much of we're kind of going back to certain fundamentals of networking and business connections where it's like you do need to connect with people. Most of my success has been through my network and reaching out to people and getting further connected, going from one person to the next connection and participating in conferences like this. Even earlier today I was speaking at IaCConf, and those kind of things where I've taken my downtime to still participate in things like that. And so it's through your human interactions that I think is going to kind of maintain your success in these processes. I think the role that I found was through someone else that I knew on LinkedIn, and oddly enough the algorithm like routed that person to me and everything. But like putting myself out there, making that post, being very vulnerable, saying, hey, I've been let go, and but here's everything about me, here's what I want to go do, kind of thing. And just kind of putting yourself out there and networking through humans and just kind of using that. So again, don't use AI to replace yourself in the job hunting process, because then people don't want you, they'll take the AI kind of thing. So kind of remember that kind of process.
Thing is large. So Parker, you're on the other side of it. You're having to interview people, and I'm sure AI is having an impact with that in the people you're looking at. Why don't you share some about that?
Yeah, I think the best way to talk about this really is just with a quick story. Did not happen to me, happened to a friend. Uh, But the interviews basically go like this. You hop on a call, you ask a question, there's a pause, you hear some keys clicking, and then you get your answer. Um, and that just kind of goes on loop. And when you kind of prompt off that, suddenly the conversation really stops driving. So that's something that my friend has seen in interviewing. But I mean, AI is meant to be a tool, but as Luke was saying, I mean, it's never been more important to be human in this situation. Whether you are hiring or looking for a role, that's should always have been something big that mattered. But now more than ever, I think it really is important.
Well said. So now we're going to go to the lightning round. This is the fun round. Most overhyped AI trend currently.
Video. It's terrible. It's just so much slop, and you're just burning off lakes of water. See yourself flying as a dog through a train or something. Just, man, use your imagination. That's all right. Soapbox over.
Besides all of it, overall, I mean, it's going to be just like the auto remediation, like letting it commit code and deploy things to go fix some things. Like it probably created that problem to begin with as well, and it's just going to keep spinning and on that. So yeah.
All right, with time to think. I think the most overhyped trend is just the insistent belief that AI is the answer to every feature request. No matter what, that always seems to be the prompt. You're like, I don't know about doing this. This can take longer. It's like, just use AI, use AI.
I agree. I think all of those were fantastic answers. I would also say that I'm going to answer the next question and this question at the same time. What is the most overhyped yet underrated AI? So giving you a second, the most underrated AI is the next question. So we're going to go there next. The most overhyped and underrated at the same time is MCP. I mean, it's like Oprah. You get an MCP server. You get an MCP server. You get an MCP. Now, I love it because in the right place with real AI and with real tools behind it makes total sense. For somebody doing it just to say that they have an MCP server, it drives me absolutely batty. So telling the hype of MCP versus the non-hype of MCP makes it from most unbelievable to most overrated. And I sit there and I see Oprah every time I look at that. So we'll start with Luke again. Underrated.
Underrated feature would be and that's probably like probably getting into your DSLs, and if you can train a small model on just a very specific narrow, like this is my business language or this is my certain technology language, like they're great at language LLMs, like just that. And so if you stick to the domain of just language, and if it's again your DSL or something else like that, it's like some small little thing, it's really great for something like that. So I think there's like going to be little niche parts on the edge to continue to assist and help into making some really complex specifications, things like that, a little more easier to be a part of your overall system.
Fixing my terrible markdown. Does that count?
Like,
More seriously though, I think one of the things I discovered pretty recently, and people probably already know this, but using one model to check the other model's work actually is pretty effective. So if you're using like Claude Sonnet and then you switch over to GPT-5 or something and say, hey, go check this and let me know what you think,
you can pretty quickly discover some discrepancies or some failings of one model versus the other and get a better overall outcome. I'm not saying you can remove the human from the loop, because you can't, but at least it's like having one person check another person's work and then you check it a third time.
Documentation writing. I don't know if anyone here has ever had the conversation where you wanted to hire someone to purely write documentation. There is either never enough or far too much. It's never what you need. But I have a very firm belief that the confluence space of our dreams could be around the corner. Then I'll throw on one more small one for kicks and gigs. My favorite 2-word prompt: be sarcastic.
Oh, I have a funny story about that. So, in that vein, a buddy of mine's a platform engineer, and we were talking about how he uses AI, and they have built up a series of prompts. And so when they get annoyed with the AI, they can have it talk like a pirate or a cowboy. So all they have to say is, say that again, but like a cowboy, and it will do it every time. And he's like, it makes my day so much more delightful. So, underrated feature, tell your AI to talk like a pirate.
And actually building off of that in a serious, wonderful way, some demos I saw today during our talks, and everyone's here this week as well. I'm sure you all came here just for IAC, but as well, there's this KubeCon thing going on, and and it's an international audience of people coming here. And some of the demos I saw from people and some of the crowds were like, English is not the first language for a lot of the people here, and they were able, like, through their demos, going, oh, all right, I speak Spanish or something else, and it's like, I can take these APIs that are in English, I can now go into Spanish and work through that, and then come back to English whenever I have to commit something or whatever. But it's like I can go through my native experiences, and it's easier to get into these technologies. Hopefully, it makes a lot of things a little more accessible that way. Or for pirates.
My MCP server talks like a pirate. That no. I again, I look at it and I think that this has been great. I really appreciate you guys coming up here. But now we've reached the Q&A section.
You guys have any suggestion on like things speaking in Nuri or
So the question was, are there things that should be kept in memory in AI to help you from a day-to-day perspective?
I have that prompt that I was talking about that has like my personal favorite coding standards and how I want things arranged, just so I don't have to argue with every time. And for whatever reason, Sonnet's really bad at constructing markdown that passes my linting. So that's in there too, is use markdown lint, please, to make sure that you actually wrote it right, because I can't read markdown if it's got squiggles. It really bothers me. That's no fun. I forget what I said, so I'm going to start over. No, so I have my own personal way. I'm going to speak very loudly now. I have my own personal way that I like to write Terraform code. And so I have put that into a markdown document that gets added as context whenever I prompt it. Same thing with just markdown in general. I want my linter to pass, and if it doesn't pass, I'm a sad monkey. And so I want AI to make me a happy monkey. So those are some of the things that I like to keep in there. Also, I have some preferences. This is very nitpicky, but I have some preferences around validation blocks for input variables. Told you I was nitpicky. So that's in there too, because I have feelings about it and I wanted to follow those feelings. Yes.
do you guys want? How do you share that your key? Example, your specific barrel.
Mm-hmm. Oh, sweetie, I don't have teams. It's just me. I'm going to let one of the people who actually does real work answer that one.
I mean, starting with that first question into the second, where something I'll just kind of the habits I've gotten into. I know like some of the AIs have some memory feature capability. I haven't use that as much, but usually if I'm going to do some kind of coding with an AI, I'm also prompting it into like write markdown documentation, or I'm editing this markdown parallel to the coding, and we're constantly referring to that, and I'm constantly, going into AI saying, we'll code for a little bit, we'll do like just little bits and just kind of work our way, kind of pair programming through something, close the session, start over again, read the document, do a little bit more kind of thing. And I, from my developer background, where it's really important to build out ADRs, architectural decision documents, records. So it's like all the decisions I'm making, choices I'm making, we're kind of making sure to, like, let's document everything out, because I kind of just assume that the AI is gonna blip out whenever, I'm working here in whatever fashion. So it's like doing that, kind of creating that document live, and then in kind of an ADR format, so it can be like, it can go right into my real collection of documentation that goes, shared with my teams and things like that. People can comment and be like, "Why did you make that choice?" Like, "Oh, yeah, we should change that," and I can iterate with the team and then back to the AI and things like that.
Mm. Um, can I add something before I give it to you? I think what the challenge that you're talking about is I want to share this knowledge across my team, have it updated on a regular basis, and have it consistent across these separate repositories that might hold my Terraform configs or application or OpenTofu or whatever it is. And Rob mentioned MCP servers. I think having an internal documentation development MCP server could solve that issue, because it would have the most up-to-date docs if you just have it naturally pull from that MCP server whenever it's generating code. I haven't tried that, but like off the top of my head, seems like a really good use case for an internal MCP server. Ooh, he's got a hand up. Oh, okay. Oh, so many hands. Well, Parker, did you have anything to add? Okay.
Yeah, you actually kind of beat me to it more or less, but full credit to my team for figuring this out. But with the work we've been doing in documentation, we use Claude in particular, and they developed some sub agents which can live in the repository. So that's still kind of per repository configuration, but we're kind of working at what's kind of the next tier in the framework. Is it an internal MCP server? Is Spacelift going to offer that as a feature? Who knows? But it's throwing out there. But anyway, yeah.
All right. How about Julia? What do you got?
Okay, so cool. So we talked about how we don't blindly trust AI to write our code, but are we blindly trusting it to write the docs? Like, have it do it after a pull request or whatever, update the docs on every day. We're just gonna trust that it did documentation that makes sense. How do we deal with that?
Are you saying you don't read your docs? Yeah. The dirty little secret from everyone.
RTFM. Yeah, no, you can't trust it to. Yeah, you can't trust it to write it and then just kind of throw it into the space. I think, I mean, as with every pull request, I mean, if you can funnel your documentation through version control, that's a great way to get you into a similar process where you can leverage AI for writing, but you still have similar controls. But yeah, no, you do have to read it. But the hope is to have to spend the time writing it just a little less.
Do you have anything to add, Luke?
That was just the document reviewing agent. Well,
Yeah, you use an agent to review. Gotta use AI. Yo, dog. I heard you like AI, so I put some AI in your AI. How big is the Yucatan? Another question.
So, usually the picture eyes. You
See it really for easy large files like Spider, blah blah blah. Like it's really on that answer you pick. You use it home source feed on mouse on very specific. Yeah, so see.
Rob, you have I actually have a strong opinion on that. I think it's going to really, you may use one of the big models as the basis, but then it's going to be, trained and fine tuned, because I think there's a lot of garbage in a lot of these models. I mean, there's a lot of garbage on the internet. That's where they've been trained. I think, again, when you start to look at these companies, you're going there and you're looking for them to provide you something that's not going to hallucinate and, go blip in the night and wake you up. I mean, I've been paged for even dumber things when I was at Amazon than, you know, S3 going down or IAM and ruining my entire month. But like when you look at it and you see these models, they're just it goes back to human in the loop on the dock. It's I look at it and go, even on that stuff, you're really going to want to know where it came from versus just a general purpose model. I think that's a key. But
I mean, think about it like you brought a new person into the company and they have a general basis of writing IAC in the past. They've picked up some bad habits at the previous job, and now you need to show them the way. So you're not starting from nothing, but I think what you're going to see is that people will take those foundational models, and as it becomes easier to add like RAG or something on top of that, there'll be a lot of that implementation at a company level. Some are already doing it, I'm sure, but the tooling that enables you to do it needs to progress to such a point that it's not a huge hassle to do. I don't have to stand up my own vector database and think about how I'm going to properly parse the existing configurations to tokenize them properly. Like that's not easy. Make it easy, I guess. And that's maybe a message for, the vendors of the world, because I'm not going to do it.
My maybe controversial take that the future of writing Terraform might be limited. That it's going to be I was saying before, like a small language model maybe wrapped in Terraform and packaged with an MCP server on top. Some black box like that is going to be our IAC future. Something, some component like that where we're going to our, AWS, something like that, saying, give me database, and that's as much as, and it might still spew out into state files and things like that, but there's going to be a point where it's like, that's kind of a space that not a lot of people like writing code in, and it might really take that part.
Interesting. Did you want?
No, you.
Okay. 5 years ago, almost 6 years ago. God, I'm so old. I had Kelsey Hightower on my podcast, humble brag, and the theme of the podcast was Kubernetes needs to disappear, and it was the idea that from a consumption standpoint, I know, right? Just so mean. I don't want to be writing YAML all the time. I want to express my intent and have something else take care of it. And I think IAC, to your point, might reach that mass where the way that you provide input is going to vastly change. Underneath, it might still be Terraform state files, but maybe Terraform needs to disappear. Ooh. All right, I can't say anything more. That's a mic drop.
in fact, I think it is a mic drop. So we've given you half an hour here, unless there's anything burning. Any other burning questions that
So to riff off of the notion that all of this DSLs are to disappear because the AI will potentially be good enough to write them for us, right? Are we going to start checking our prompts into version control so we could repeat them for other use cases?
So if you have that, you should be already as part of prompt engineering, you should be going through those anyways. And that way you're getting to best practice and best prompt. So it is happening. It's just happening at a different layer right at the moment than that. But I'm like him, like Ned, I actually have a running sheet of prompts that I use because, if I blow up my infrastructure and, nobody dies, nobody goes hungry or anything like that. So, but at the same time, I don't trust the memory of whatever I'm using. And I also don't, and like Ned was saying, LLM judges, and it's a whole thing about how you use LLM as a judge and how you use one to judge another one. And this goes to what Luke was saying about having a small language model actually being the judge that's specialized in SLM language model that's a judge on maybe one of the bigger models. And that goes there first, but then it's double checked here. Then there's human in the loop. So to your point, though, the prompt engineering things, I know because we run, you know, thecubeai.com. You can go to it. It's free to sign up. It has all of our content in it. And you can go and ask it questions about, you know, what's the stupidest thing that Rob Strechay has ever said? And it will probably come back with a pretty funny answer. I actually haven't done that one yet, but I've done some other ones that I will not go into. And I can see all the prompts that people are doing in there. We absolutely go and look at that because we're using it for other reasons to understand trends. And, you know, it may be people wanting to figure out how dumb I am or not, but, you know, there are trends in there. And so when all of these companies are in there, they're mining that data as well. But if you're doing it internally, you should absolutely be making sure that's logged and maintained and used to do that. And the LLM as a judge theory is that the LLM as a judge will actually flag bad prompts as part of it. So this is the whole agentic workflow thing. It gets really complex when you start to build out these multi-layered agents and LLMs, but that's the future, is that they'll help you understand that these are the ones you want to keep because they had the best outcome and stuff like that. And hopefully tying into things like observability and security and other things to make sure that really it is the best. But, oh, sorry, that was my soapbox. I'm very opinionated on that one thing. So, all right. Well, hey, I really appreciate it. And I appreciate our really smart panel up here giving you insights. Thank you. Hey, and thank you to the sponsors for having us in here. We really appreciate it. I mean, again, you know, this is a lot of fun. So this is the best day of my week. After this, I actually have to work. So, you know, I really appreciate it. I know. Boo. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.